Good morning from beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. I'm your host, BKP. Hold on, I got to take just a minute here. I've got to get got to turn the Led Zeppelin down on Friday morning. Some people get upset. They find out I have to turn the Led Zeppelin down. They didn't know there was such thing called Friday morning, beautiful downtown Blue Ridge. I'm your host, VKP. You're watching FYNTV.com. It's that easy. You tell your friends, FYNTV.com. We're at the shops of Sycamore Crossing. I've got the Broken Bull behind me, Tupelo Tea, and New Blue Home and Gift. Some beautiful shops up here. A little cool this morning. Cole, how cool is it in Blue Ridge today, this fall morning? Beautiful. What do we got there? What are you seeing?
It shows a high of 70 and low of 47.
A high of 70 today, right?
Low of 47.
A low of 47.
Yep.
I think that's now.
Yeah.
Is it currently 47 degrees in Blue Ridge?
That's what the Weather Channel's saying.
So Weather Channel saying currently 47. Now you have to stick with me. I am again 2 days in a row unprepared. I mean, if you cannot mail it in at work on Friday, when can you, Cole? I mean, I have to, this is a Advocare Spark Energy. I have to get this ready. 2 scoops, you're going to watch me here. I have to multitask, folks. I'm trying to tell you, I'm unprepared this morning. I mean, Donald Trump went to the debate unprepared. If you cannot be unprepared on Friday and just mail it in at work, this is work, right? This is what I do, right? If you can't slack on Friday, when can you, right? I'm just telling you. It is a beautiful fall day here at Sycamore Crossing in downtown Blue Ridge. We're going to have, I know I'm multitasking here. We're going to have our segment this morning from the Georgia Cancer Research Specialist, Ask Dr. Whaley, but we have a special guest sitting in for Dr. Whaley this morning. Cammie Fowler is going to be here with us in just a minute when we get to that segment. So we'll be there at 8:15. And then at 8, I don't know who's going to show up for the all-star panel this morning. We have some people traveling. But at 8:45, we like to talk about politics for a little bit here. It happens from time to time, if you know me. From time to time, Cole, I venture into politics. So we're going to do that at 8:45. Now, last week I received a message, and the message said, well, you know, the panel looks to be like they're all side with Republicans. That's who shows up. This is open. At 8:45, if you want to come down, and the topic is politics and basically the election, if you realize we're having an election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, if you're just tuning in. So if you want to come down from 8:45 to 9:30 and talk politics, come on down and join me. I don't care if you're supporting Hillary Clinton. I don't care if you're supporting Donald Trump. I don't care if you're supporting Gary Johnson. You know, if you're uncommitted, whatever, need committed, whatever the case is, come on down, sit with us at 8:45 and talk politics. Then on Friday, every Friday, we round out the show, the week, with our star of the show. And it's for me. I'm going to be selfish here, okay? This is a selfish moment for me. It is the Humane Society of Blue Ridge, the Pet of the Week. And I tell you, everything that you go through throughout your week, no matter how bad your day is, I'm going to tell you, nothing better than coming home and, you know, your dog's there. Was I supposed to say wife first, Cole? You don't understand that yet. Nothing better than coming home and, you know, maybe seeing your wife and then your dog's there. I don't know. I just got I'm like Donald Trump. I just got major trouble. I mean, I'm down 8 points with women in the polls. Just like that one comment, I'm down 8 points with women. Just one comment. That's all it takes is one comment and I'm down. 9:30, the Pet of the Week, my favorite time of the week, the Pet of the Week, the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. Rena brings us a beautiful doggie. And Rena, if you're watching, bring a picture of a cat. You always forget. So bring a picture of the cat because they have a lot of cats there. Okay, what was I going to say? It is Friday. We're getting around to it, folks. We're getting around to it. It is beautiful down here. Actually, I mean, it might be cool, fall, beautiful mountain. You are going to be traveling up here in the next several weeks, maybe even starting today, to feel this crisp, cool morning, sitting out on the porch. I got the sweatshirt out this week. Yes, did you? I broke out the sweatshirt box for outside in the evenings to sit outside. Got the sweatshirt box out. And this morning was the first time. Somebody might say, well, that's not exactly what you really smelled. But you know that little, when you turn your heat on, I have electric heat. No, I don't. I don't have electric heat. Why did I say that? I don't know why I said that, Cole. But the first time of the year, you turn your heat on and there's like that little smell in the house where, the heat's on. Well, that was this morning around the house. I had to get up and turn the heat. Did you turn the heat on? I turned the heat on this morning. We won't be arguing about the air conditioning at the office come next week. Back to trying to stay focused this morning. It is North Georgia. You're coming up here to see the leaves change. Come on up, join us, visit us. The America's Outdoor Playground. That is North Georgia. Come up and visit us. Got a lot going on this weekend. Is Marble Fest down in Pickens County. FetcherNews.com. We will have we'll be set up at the Marble Fest. FetcherNews.com, FYN TV. Stop by and say hello to us this weekend. Also, high school football. This is my favorite. Tonight, the 58th meeting. And the air is going to be perfect. I mean, something in the air tonight, Phil Collins, right? The air will be perfect. 70 degrees, like 60 degrees game time, right? It'll be like around 60 at game time, sweatshirt weather, and you will be watching the Pickens Dragons visiting the Gilmer Bobcats. 58 meetings, a rivalry, quad 4 Region 6 game tonight. Takes place at 7:30 at Gilmer County. They're at Gilmer County. Now, the Fannin Rebels here in Blue Ridge, the Fannin Rebels will be traveling to Norcross to take on Greater Atlanta Christian. Oh, they got their work cut out for them down there. And they know it. Coach Pavo told us this week. They know they got their work cut out for them. But Fannin Rebels will be headed down to Norcross to take on the Greater Atlanta Christian Spartans. I did that, okay. I got that. And the Union Panthers will be home. The Union Panthers will be home tonight against East Hall. That's in Blairsville up there at the high school. The Union Panthers will be home against East Hall. And they're coming off a pretty tough loss, but a well-played game against Greater Atlanta Christian. So that's some of the high school football that's going on in North Georgia. Sweatshirt weather. I'll be wearing the sweatshirt tonight to the football game. That will be in the bag. And it's almost time to get the hunting socks out. It's almost time to get the hunting socks and the sweatshirt box. We know what you'll be doing this weekend, trading around in the closet. So that's some of the things going on Friday night. Beautiful weekend here in Blue Ridge. I'm your host, BKP, FYNTV.com. Now, let's see. Well, Cole, I told you, I'm unprepared. I'm totally unprepared. It's Friday. I figured if anyone could slack at work on Friday, it could be me. I thought I could get away with this. But you're going to hold me to actually discussing something that has some substance. Folks, when I say discussing something that has some substance, the Miss Universe comment concerning her weight. If you're watching the morning shows and the media, you need to, if you are a Donald Trump supporter this morning, if you're on that side of the camera and you're a Republican and you're supporting Donald Trump for president of the United States, the only place that some of the things are happening that doesn't play well is in the Hamptons this weekend. So if you're not attending a party in the Hamptons, because I always love when I turn on MSNBC in the morning and they're talking about, Donald Trump getting up at 5 a.m. and sending out tweets and so on and so forth. Let me tell you where people don't care about it. They don't care about it in Michigan. They don't care about it in Indiana. They don't care. For a good portion of Illinois, they don't care about it. They don't care. They want to take the country back, not backward, okay? They want to take the country back. Now, before we get going too far, you want to pay attention. Deutsche Bank, right? Germany's only world bank. The stock market is in a free fall. I don't know what it'll drop, but major concerns on whether Germany will bail them out. Need to keep an eye on that. I find it interesting. I'm not going to take up for Wells Fargo, but I find it interesting all the demands that are being made by people on these committees for these CEOs and these certain people at Wells Fargo to resign and be jailed and all the above. And I'm thinking, okay, and Hillary Clinton and Uma Abedin and Cheryl Mills, and the list goes on and the list goes on and the list goes on. Guy from the IRS, Lois Lerner, list goes on and on. The VA scandal. We're finding out this morning that veterans are dying and they are just staying in the morgue. I think I heard months at a time. We know all these scandals in this country, but yet you're yelling at this guy from Wells Fargo about, he should be jailed and he should be resigned. It's just, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. It's interesting. Deutsche Bank, pay attention to that today. In Germany, pay attention. Merkel's in a mess. They may have to bail the bank out. The bank is, they're putting out, they're considering the situation equal to Lehman Brothers collapse. So pay attention to that today. Nobody is talking about that. They're talking about how much Miss Universe weighs. That's important. Now, I want to wrap up by saying something this morning. I'm going around and around wondering which direction to go on some things. I try to keep Friday kind of the topics light. We're in downtown Blue Ridge. I like to call it Fetch Fun Friday. I like to call it Fetch Football Friday. I like to know that we're enjoying ourselves, having a good time. But there's some things we can't get away from. Now, the Supreme Court, back in session, right? Tuesday night, everybody's talking about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and the debate. The talk will be, will Donald Trump show up for the second or third debate? Some other talk show radio hosts are discussing whether Trump should show up for the debates or not. I'd like to hear from you, 706-889-9700 or chief@veterannews.com, if you think Donald Trump should show up for the next two debates. I will say myself, yes, I think so. And yes, I think Donald Trump, the first debate, left you wanting to see the second. Now think about that. Now, myself, I said if Donald Trump clearly wins that first debate, the election's over. It'll be a landslide. It'll be over if he clearly wins the first debate. There's a lot of debate on whether he won or Hillary won. All right, so obviously Hillary's going to go to the podium with the wind beneath her wings called Lester Holt as the help that he gave her from NBC, and her championing like this lady is Mother Teresa, this poor Miss Universe from Venezuela that Donald Trump treated so bad, which we know a lot about this morning as far as her driving the getaway car. Okay, interesting. So this being said, we learn all these things about her. So Hillary's on the podium talking about how she won the debate. All of her surrogates are out there, how she won the debate. And Donald Trump is doing the same thing. There you go. Tuesday night, but it leaves you wanting to see the second debate. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. This is a show, okay? But it's not a show about nothing. It's a show about the future of this country. But it is a show in fact. Those corporations like NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox News, CNN, they have billions at stake. Billions. So it's a corporation and this is a show. All right? And you can't have the show end now. You got to keep this show going. By all means, Donald Trump will be attacked. USA Today, their editorial board, the first time in their history, has come out and said they can They are going to say, don't vote for Donald Trump, okay? Newspapers, watch your local newspaper in your local town. Newspapers, okay? Media outlets, everything. They're going to throw every single thing. Pat Caddell called it the other day. Pat Caddell called it the Armageddon of politics. They're going to throw everything. Donald Trump has to run. This is not for the, you can't have a weak stomach on this one, folks. And I think the more the mainstream media, the more newspapers come out and say they can't endorse Hillary Clinton, I think the more people, corporations that come out in favor of Hillary, I think that will not, I don't want to say enrage, but that will encourage and have people, the mainstream people in this country, the actual people that are going to work, getting in a car, going to make a living for their family in this country, that will give them more reason to go vote for Donald Trump, is my opinion. Now, Tuesday night, Mike Pence will go up against Tim Kaine. Okay, I understand one of the rules is Tim Kaine can't bring his harmonica. They say if he gets bored, he plays a harmonica or something. So if they get bored, Tim said, hey, I've got 2 minutes. Can I do the last minute with a harmonica? It's just a joke, all right? Anyhow, so Mike Pence will go up against Tim Kaine, all right? Tim Kaine is what? Tim Kaine is a duplicate vice presidential pick, much like Joe Biden was. Duplicate, right down the line. Mirror image of Joe Biden is Tim Kaine, all right? So Tim Kaine will go up against Mike Pence. The American people, for those that do not think the vice presidential debate and the vice presidential candidate on the ticket is important, and generally is not what wins the debate, the American people are going to see what I call the first vice presidential pick in my lifetime. In my lifetime, that I think this country, you don't just think Donald Trump. I know you're trying to win now, but you want to think, wait a minute. If Donald wins, will he run in 4 years? If he doesn't run in 4 years, what will we do? Because trust me, the progressives are not going to, it's not going to be the end of their movement or the end of their focus or their direction. 4 years is not going to end it, okay? Now, Ronald Reagan, and let me clear this up. I'm already 8:15, and I don't see my guest yet this morning. Maybe be here in a minute. Ronald Reagan, okay, picked George H. Bush. But he did not pick George H. Bush. Ronald Reagan went into the convention. He ran against George H. Bush. Let's keep this clear, okay? He ran against him. George H. Bush called it, if you think the Bush family, all right, has ever felt in any way whatsoever that they were on board with Ronald Reagan, okay, trust me. So George H. ran against Ronald Reagan, called it voodoo economics. George H. was the establishment's choice, and Ronald Reagan had to compromise. Now, Reagan fans out there, you know, whether you like it or not, okay, Reagan was handed, that was the olive branch, George H. Bush. So Reagan did not run with George H. Bush as a conviction as much as you would want to think. He didn't do it. George H. Bush was picked by the campaign, by the RNC for him. Now, so you fast forward, Reagan's president for 2 terms. George H. Bush becomes president of the United States after 8 years. Well, George H. Bush, let's remember, was the establishment's choice all along. George H. Bush is where we heard one world government, okay? We heard, we heard a lot about the one world government from George Bush. We heard the direction of the UN from George Bush. So we know George H. Bush, the father, was headed in that direction. Well, lo and behold, who was his vice presidential candidate? Dan Quayle. I'm not going to talk bad about the guy, but Dan Quayle, that was the VP pick? Really? So then we move along here, we move along, and we have William Jefferson Clinton, and he picks who else but Al Gore. All establishment folks, all world globalist establishment, corrupt, all the above, but Al Gore. So we get Al Gore for 8 years. All right, now I'll get to this in a minute. We get Al Gore. Then we have George W. All right, which again, folks, 2 wars, $6 trillion. Do not. I want to make sure we're clear. I'm not a George W. Bush fan, and I don't want that to upset people. But I won't carry water for a politician. So George W. Bush, who's he bring in? Dick Cheney. Well, Dick Cheney, he's not going to be president of the United States. So we have 8 years of Bush and Cheney. Then what do we get? We get Barack Obama and Joe Biden. Why is this important? Because I feel this is the first time, I don't know if you can remember, but I feel this is the first time since I became of age, Ronald Reagan, first president of the United States I was able to vote for, but it's the first time I see the American people having an opportunity to have an effective vice president of the United States. That's Mike Pence. I feel this is the first time Mike Pence. Now, why do I feel that? Because a couple things come into play. Who picked Mike Pence? Who? I mean, I had my pick, you had your pick, we were all doing, we were picking and guessing one after another who would be the vice presidential pick for, Donald Trump. Would it be one of the 16 that ran against him because, he needed their votes? Would he, in the end, pick Ted Cruz? Would he negotiate this with somebody else? What would happen? And we looked at it like that. And then who was in charge? If you Google it right now, I'm pretty sure who was in charge of the team to vet vice presidential candidates. Ben Carson. Just Google it and tell me. Send me a text. Fact check. I'll be like Hillary Clinton. Fact checkers, get to work now. Get to work now, fact checkers. Okay. So who was in charge of vetting? The vice presidential candidate pick team? I'm pretty sure Ben Carson. So Ben Carson and the team say Donald Trump. Now we're told every day Donald Trump won't listen, but they say Donald Trump, okay, this is who we think you should pick as vice president of the United States. And he does. Donald Trump, through his team, okay, so pay attention to that because Donald Trump gets accused that he won't listen. He puts good people around him, all right? That's how you got Mike Pence. Ben Carson went to the team, vetted Mike Pence, and they said, Donald Trump, this is the man. This is the man that when America says they want conservative judges in the Supreme Court will validate. Just looking at Mike Pence says Donald Trump's serious and will keep his word to Christian conservatives, the evangelical conservatives in the Republican Party will come out, Mike Pence. So Donald Trump picks Mike Pence, takes him into the convention. He's not handed to Donald Trump by the RNC. He's not George H. Bush. Donald Trump goes into the RNC convention and makes no deal on his VP pick. All right? So we're going to talk more about that because I think Tuesday night is being left out. Our guest has now arrived, and we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking. It's going to be our Georgia Cancer Specialist segment. Ask the Doctor. Dr. Whaley will not be with us this morning, but we have a special guest. Cammie Fowler will be with us right after this break. Take us to break there, Cole.